In part 1, you saw that Kawai has created a secure foundation for the hammers that is permanently straight and strong. That's the first requirement that allows this piano action to perform at the highest level. Now, let's turn to the second critical requirement for optimum tone and power. The hammers must strike the strings with absolute precision. The next several points will explain what Kawai does to make certain this level of precision is achieved every time over time. This is the hammer flange. It's the crucial part that connects the hammers to the action rail. When the hammer flange remains properly aligned and tightly secured to the rail, the hammer will strike the string with accuracy. But when a flange loosens or its alignment drifts, even by a millimeter, problems occur, such as buzzing sounds, loss of tone, or even proper touch as hammers rub against hammers. Keeping the flange tightly secured and properly aligned is a top priority for Kawai. Here's how we do it. On the top surface of the action rail, you'll notice a region of finely honed ridges that comprise what Kawai calls the serrated surface. It extends across the entire width of the rail and is a permanent feature that will not weaken or erode over time. When the flanges are secured to the rail, this serrated surface acts like gravel on an icy road that adds friction to keep the flanges and hammers properly aligned. Not all pianos have a serrated surface like this. Some use sandpaper or put a serrated surface across only a partial section of the top surface. Kawai's full-width serrated surface is a complete and permanent way to help keep the flanges properly aligned. At the edge of the serrated surface is a strand of neoprene material called the insuliner. This is a second design element that further holds the flange in proper alignment. When each flange is pressed down against the rail, the material under the flange is compressed, but the material on either side remains uncompressed. This effectively seats the flange in place to help preserve optimum alignment. Not all pianos have an insuliner, so be sure to look for it when you compare various instruments. To secure the flanges to the rail, Kawai uses machine thread action screws with lock washers. Machine thread screws have much finer threads than the traditional self-tapping sheet metal screws used by most other piano makers. Finer threads offer more teeth to grip the rail and hold the flanges in place. Each hole is pre-threaded to avoid the problem of stripping threads that exists with self-tapping screws. All of these details add up to greater reliability of the action and lower maintenance costs. The material used for the flange itself also plays a significant role in preserving proper hammer alignment. The flanges on Kawai grand pianos are made of a composite material, ABS styrene or ABS carbon with carbon fiber. These composite flanges resist swelling and shrinking due to humidity 30 times better than conventional wooden flanges. That dimensional stability helps to keep the action screws secured tightly. Here's a comparison. On this old-style action, all these flanges are made of wood. Now, imagine this is the flange, and this is the screw. On a typical humid day, wood flanges can swell as much as 5% in size. As the flanges begin to swell upward against the action screws, the wood beneath the screws becomes compressed or damaged. Later, when the weather gets drier, the flanges shrink to normal size, leaving gaps under the screws. When the piano is played, those gaps allow the screws to loosen, causing the hammers to fall out of alignment. Even if you realign all the flanges and tighten the screws, the cycle of swelling and shrinking begins all over again when humidity returns. That's a problem Kawai has solved. Because composite flanges resist swelling and shrinking, screws stay tight, flanges remain aligned, and the hammers strike the strings with accuracy again and again. That's one important reason Kawai pianos provide more stable and consistent touch and tone over time than any other piano. With every detail of the action rail and hammer flange carefully designed to optimize hammer alignment, Kawai took one more step to ensure precision when the hammer strikes the string. We added strong, stable phenolic material to reinforce the hammer shank on each side of the fork where the shank connects with the hammer flange. These phenolic stabilizers reduce the possibility of flex or side-to-side movement that could affect the accuracy of the hammer strike. It's one more way that Kawai strives to provide the best possible tone that will endure over time. This is the jack. Here's what it looks like outside the piano action. The jack is a pivotal link between the key and the hammer. Because it transfers the downward force of the keys into the upward motion of the hammer, the jack is subjected to enormous stress with each keystroke. The exclusive carbon jack found in all Kawai grand pianos is 2.5 times stronger than a conventional wooden jack to avoid breakage. Plus, it resists shrinking and swelling due to humidity and never needs lubrication. These attributes allow the carbon jack to provide consistent performance for the player and lower maintenance costs over time. Look closely at a Kawai hammer, and you'll see a staple connecting both sides at the base. If you could see the staple by itself, it would form the shape of the letter T. This staple maintains the proper shape of the hammer, which affects the tone produced by each hammer strike. When a hammer loses its shape, tone suffers. All Kawai grand pianos feature T-stapled hammers for exceptional tone. Underneath the action assembly is an important design feature that could be overlooked. This is the keyframe that holds the piano action. The weight of the keyframe rests on these parts, called keyframe glides. The glides allow the entire keyframe to slide smoothly from left to right when the una corda or soft pedal is used. Needless to say, these brass glides exert considerable force on the keybed when the piano is played. Enough to create a slight dent in the keybed that could disrupt the smooth movement of the keyframe. That's why Kawai inserts a special hardwood dowel underneath each glide. Look carefully to see a change in wood color or grain direction that lets you know a dowel is there. Sometimes pianos have graphite on the keybed, but no dowel exists. The hardwood keybed dowel is another small but important example of Kawai's commitment to quality and high performance.